my PhD is environmental sciences, and because of ontology, which is basically the system remembers everything that happened to it, because there's an idea in environmental sciences, environmental engineering, of ecosystem restoration. But it's actually impossible to restore an ecosystem because it always remembers the damage that happened. So you're trying to return it as close to you as you can, but so, for example, like the Earth orbits the sun, but it doesn't return to the same space because the sun is orbiting the galaxy. So the Earth is actually creating a coil as it moves around the galaxy. So you see this in your own life as you return to circumstances that seem familiar. Like, oh, I've been in this situation before. Not necessarily a deja vu, just I remember I got angry and said this same thing. You know, you return to that same circumstance, but with all the experiences you accumulated since then. So it's not really the same. You grew a little bit. You grew a little bit. So each time it comes around, you're given a new opportunity to what? Respond differently. Let's say there's 5 systems of the mind: the right knowledge, wrong knowledge, misconception, sleep, and memory, according to Patanjali. None of these are negative and none of these are positive. Some beings, let's say animals, they evolve, but they, in the long run, aren't successful. They don't survive. They get weeded out. They evolved, but not in a useful direction, relative to the context.
Yeah.
So evolution for evolution's sake is not, it's about where are we going, and having that longer term, some objective, something to steer us. So as we enter into this pranayama experience, which is Nadi Shodhana, everybody seems to do Nadi Shodhana differently. I am from BNS Iyengar, and I've learned it several different ways, but his was had something to do with his certainty. That's what I tell when I say I'm authorized by BNS. That's the moment.
BNS, is that his son? BKS was...
No, they're unrelated. Both of their teachers were Krishnamacharya.
That's why I wondered if BNS was his son, but it's not. It's just ironic.
It's like Smith.
Yeah.
It's a common name.
Gotcha.
Nadi Shodhana. So yeah, BNS is Ashtanga Vinyasa, and it was developed for young warrior boys who didn't have attention spans. Apparently Patabi Joyce didn't, after Krishnamacharya left Mysore, he didn't really teach it very much until the Americans came. And then he was like, this is for you. Mm-hmm. My Vinyasa teacher is David Garrig, who is based in Philadelphia, and he's a Patabi Joyce student, but very much Iyengar influence. So I use a lot of props now when I do Ashtanga. But I love Ashtanga. It helps me stop thought.
It's hard because I don't know how to do the absence of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a thought. To do absence of
thought
is a thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just freedom from thought. A little thing on anchoring, when you don't want you know what anchoring is, like NLP?
A little bit.
So neuro-linguistic programming, it's how your nervous system processes language.
Okay.
And which is why you re-stimulate a lot of pictures and words when you do yoga, because your nervous system is also where those pictures are stored. And so how I anchor a gesture, like if I'm feeling really beautiful or very intelligent or I'm a really good yoga teacher, I'm anchoring those statements with my hands. So instead of don't feel angry, anxious, that's bringing it all back to me. Don't feel angry, anxious. See how I anchored that away from me. And then you got to be careful of there's nobody over there that you're accidentally anchoring.
You're throwing it. Right.
Sometimes I've done that and I'll be like, no, I'm just kidding. I take it back. And that actually works.
Yeah.
You just grab it and throw it that way.
Energetically moving it, yeah.
Yeah. It's a tension. Where attention goes, energy flows. And if I just grab your attention and put it over there, then whatever was anchored to it goes there. Jataka helps me stop thought. The caution with that is it cuts really deep into the mind, and whatever you do right after that, it leaves an impression right where you left off. So ease out of that. The first thing you do, I would meditate right after that, do some pranayama, ease back into mundane mind, because that's really near the surface. Or just be aware of whatever you're imprinting there. That would be read some self-help or do some journaling, and journal with the non-dominant hand kind of thing.
But I really liked what we talked about last night, where you said if everything you wrote down, if you knew that everything you wrote down was going to manifest, but you didn't know which, like if you had 1,000 things you were going to write down and 10 of those were going to manifest, but you didn't know which 10, how careful would you be with what you write down?
Yeah.